We've been talking long enough about JavaScript, so now it's time to actually get down and write some. And I hope you're ready to do that because it's pretty exciting to start seeing it come alive on web pages. And it'll be a little while before we start making really interesting things, but we'll be working with the basics now. So let's get started with that. And what we can do with our browser is we can actually open just a new browser tab and use the console to write some JavaScript. Because JavaScript is native to the browser, we can write it right into the browser and it'll actually do stuff in the browser. So that's pretty cool. So I have a new tab over here and you can create a new tab for yourself. And I'm just going to right click and choose inspect. And you have to right click on the white area. You can't right click on an element or something like that. But right click on the white area and choose inspect. And that'll bring up the inspector in Chrome. And again, I'm in Chrome. And when I do that, it might put the inspector over here. It might do some different kinds of things. Some different buttons might be selected. But what you can do is you can use these buttons here. You can arrange this thing, make it bigger or smaller. You can use these buttons to move this inspector around. So this button here will allow me to choose where I want it to display. Right now it's on the right, but I could put it on the left, or I could put it on the bottom. I want it on the bottom in this case. Sometimes it's helpful to tear it off entirely into a different window, which is this icon, but I'm going to leave it down here on the bottom. And then I want to close this thing down here because that's just giving me some information. And I'm going to make this come up here. And right now I'm on the Elements tab and I can see the HTML that is making up this page. And you can actually drag around on here and you'll see different elements of the page will get highlighted. But what I really want to do to write some JavaScript is the console. So click on the console and you'll see if there are any errors coming up or anything like that. And this is something coming over from Google right now. There's some sort of error here and I don't really care about that. So I'm going to click on this little clear console button here to clear the console and get rid of that error. And now I can do things like create a variable. Var cheese equals yummy. And again, yummy is assigned to cheese, the variable cheese here. Put a semicolon and press enter. Now, before I do this, another thing that's useful is if this is seeming very small on your screen, you can use Control or on Windows or Command on the Mac and plus the plus key to make the text larger or the minus key to make it smaller, plus and minus, or you can do Command 0 to put it back to the default size. So a lot of times when I'm working with students, they have trouble seeing the syntax, and I recommend making the actual code larger so that you can see it better. So I'm going to make it larger like that. So var cheese equals yummy. Great. Undefined is sort of the return value. This doesn't have a return value. I'm just assigning a variable here. So don't worry about the fact that it says undefined here. Now that I've defined this variable, if I type cheese, you'll see that I get yummy. That comes back. That's the return value for that variable name. I'm going to make a new variable, my num, and assign it a value of 5. And I get a 5 back. That returns the value of 5. So I could make another variable. When I created my num, you'll notice I forgot to use the var keyword, and that's fine. JavaScript will adjust for that in this case, and we'll talk later about what happens when you don't use the var keyword. But in this case, it's fine. It actually created a variable called my num and assigned it 5. But it would be better to use the var keyword. Var my other num equals 6. That comes back undefined. And this came back with 5 because of the fact that I didn't use the var keyword. But if I do my num, you'll see I'll still get 5. If I do my other num, and you'll notice that in Chrome, it's predicting what I'm going to type. And if I press tab on the keyboard, I don't even have to type that whole thing. I can do something like var sum equals my num plus my other num. And I can even pick it from the list using my keyboard here. So I don't even have to type it. Now, if I do sum, you'll notice I get an 11 because it's doing basic arithmetic. I can also use a method called console.log. Console.log. And I could do my num times my other num. Whoops. Semicolon. And you'll notice that I get 30 because it's taken 5 and multiplied it by 6. Now we're in the console, so we don't have to use the console.log statement here, the console.log method, but because I can just do my num times my other num, this one here. And you'll see I still get 30. But I'm showing you the console.log method because when we start working with files, we'll use this method a lot to send things to this console. While I'm in the console, I don't actually need to use it.